Hey guys, Stephanie here with 50 years of pop lyrics, where we're gonna see what we've been singing about for half a century. So let's look at the data set. This is gonna be 50 years of top 100 Billboard lyrics. The top 100 annual chart means that it has to survive in terms of point accumulation for the entire year. There's two ways of calculating it. Before 1992 and after, the first group is calculated with an inverse point system. And then the second one, where technology was more prevalent, they would actually use actual play and sales data. There's 5,100 songs total, and there's about 5,600 unique song titles. Kind of interesting. Some songs had the same title and about 2,500 unique artists. So on average, each artist would have two top 100 Billboard songs. 79% of the lyrics came from metrolyrics.com and the rest from songlyrics.com. And let's talk about the imperfections of the data set. The artist feature was pretty standardized, but the featuring, some of the featuring stuff just didn't come out right. So Justin Timberlake featuring Timberland was different from Justin Timberlake. And some of the errors of the lyrics weren't corrected. Some of the words got fused or the scraping was imperfect. And song lyrics for 374 songs were missing. Now, we're no strangers to questions and goals, so let's try to find the descriptive statistics. Who are the common artists? What were the common words? And I want to find out if the things we've been singing about the topics have been different over the years. And I think that people sing about love a lot, so hopefully there would be different subtopics of love and they could change over time. We'll see though. So this is just some basic artist descriptive statistics. In terms of who has the most Billboard songs, it was Madonna. It's surprising to me. I don't really listen to Madonna. Then Elton John, Mariah Carey, Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson. And this is completely different from who are the most effective people at getting Billboard songs, so their efficiency rate. This would be number of songs over their career in years. And the number one group would be the Beatles, then Taylor Swift, Rihanna, Kelly Clarkson, Aaliyah, Madonna, which is the only one from the first chart. So it seems like these people kind of have shorter careers, but they get more songs, which means either they're really good at getting popular songs or our music tastes have sort of converged. Moving on. This is going to be a study of what words show up the most, and how I did this was to split each word by the delimiters, and some of the lyrics were imperfect, so here's some weird examples. Someone's, I think, phone number got scraped for some reason, and some random, parts of the page got scraped as well, some song information. And then when people write lyrics information, I think it was a time where if you like the song, you would just want to volunteer your time to write it. So people would write it chorus times 2 or repeat 6 times. Okay, so what are the most common words? I found out it was you and I, me, my, your, and love. Of all of these, only love is not a stop word. Still kind of interesting that you shows it more than I. Here's the chart, same chart, except in bar graph form, and there's also the average number of times it shows up per song, also pretty interesting. So you is number 1, then I, me, my, like I words, and then your and love. Okay, moving on. I also found some pretty interesting numbers that showed up in the lyrics. The most common numbers, and this is integers, not words. I realized later on that I got it wrong. So the integer 2 is different from TWO, and I could have done something to standardize it, but I didn't, unfortunately. So it's 2, 1, 3, and then 6. I thought 6 was a weird number, so I looked into where it came up. And it came up in time, like 6 p.m., 6 a.m., number of people for some reason, counting numbers, which was a little odd because 4 and 6 didn't show up as many times, and the airplane, like a G6 airplane, and also the longest number I found was apparently female rapper's partial phone number, which people, they did their detective work and figure out the rest and started calling her, so she had to change her phone number for some reason, or for a good reason. And this is the most common non-stop words. I realized that I is a stop word. I forgot to remove it, but it would be love, baby, yeah, make time, girl, wanna, gonna, back, feel, night, give life. And that sounds like it could be a song in itself. Okay, moving on to the second purpose of the study, extracting meaning from lyrics. I want to do automatic summarization, which means to find a subset of data that contains information of the entire set. There's two methods to do this. First is extraction, then abstraction. Extraction is like putting a bunch of text through a filter. You're finding the words or the phrases, sentences that represent the thing as a whole. The second one is much harder. It's to build a human summary of what text might be about. I started with the text rank algorithm. This is an unsupervised algorithm to provide either the summary or the keyword extraction. And then I did it for this song called All Star by Smash Mouth. And I did an interpretation. It's just kind of like life is unpredictable, so you should try to have fun. And text rank provided this summary. It's a repeat of some of the lyrics. I think overall it's pretty good, but the line somebody once asked, could I spare some change for gas? I thought that was a little weird, didn't really relate to the summary, but it was much better than the keyword extraction, which came out with brain, head, dumb. Pretty warm, colder, smart, fuel, and change. I don't think that did as well. I also did it without the grammar correction because my data is all lowercase, no punctuation, some spelling mistakes, and the summary just totally failed. There's nothing available, but the keyword extraction I think also did maybe a little better than the one before. There's a shooting stars, men, I guess, some spelling errors. But overall, I think I realized that the text ranks requires sentences to split the string and with capitalization and so forth. So overall, it wasn't very helpful. It was a failure, so I decided to do another method, which is sentiment analysis, to try to get the positive or negative meaning of a song. And I interpreted positive and negative to mean that positive is like a good feeling, you feel happy, you feel good about something, you think something's good. Negative is the opposite of that. And I trained the model with 100 songs from 2015. And as a test, I tried to write the word I'm happy, which is pretty positive, and it was classified as 99.99% negative, so that was a pretty big failure. Then I had to try something else out. I did this company called Alien. They have a classification, also a bunch of text analysis APIs. So I tried out their taxonomy API, so it's supposed to tell you what topic it's talking about. I did it on the song I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston, and this is clean data with correct grammar and spelling. And interestingly, the results were this. Hate content, 33%. Non-standard content, 8%. Arts and entertainment, 8%. This is one of the categories that it was confident in, so that's definitely a failure. In addition, I tried some of its other APIs. It just didn't work. It didn't make sense. So I concluded that my original goal of determining the song lyrics meaning couldn't be achieved by the current means. I couldn't get any useful, meaningful, or even accurate data from text rank, sentiment analysis via classification, and topic classification. So the best thing I could do was just the word frequency analysis by decade. In the previous parts, I did it overall. And it's really sad. I really wanted to see what how the topics changed over the decades. So if someone could give me suggestions of how to achieve this, that would be very, very welcome. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so I just try to find popular words over the years, and it seems like the word baby has somewhat made a comeback in the last 30 or so years. It's been used more frequently. And the next word, love, it seems like we've always been singing about love. So that's kind of nice. And then another interesting word that showed up quite a bit was time. So it seems like we've been singing about time overall more in the recent years. And next word is girl. This one's kind of interesting. This one's a little bit more extreme in terms of the trend. It wasn't used very often early on in the 1960s, and then it started getting more popular in the 2000s. So that's kind of interesting. But what about boy or man? So man has also been making somewhat of a increase, but it decreased a little bit in 2010, 11. There is somewhat of a, I guess it already had its heyday. It's kind of dying out now. Um, and what other things have been popular? So as a society, we've been singing about money more. You can see it was really, really prevalent in 2015. And as with modern times, we also sing about bitch also as well. It just didn't appear except in 1977 and 1979. And recently we've been using it a lot, but have comfort in that we've always been singing about home because the data seems pretty consistent over time. And I also found some pretty interesting words throughout the analysis. PhD apparently appears 5 times, and it doesn't stand for we think, it stands for player hating degree. And some famous locations: New York 177 times, California 80 times, and Hawaii 11 times. In conclusion, drawing meaning from song lyrics is a form, I believe, of the world knowledge problem. How can you figure out what the song is talking about if you don't have the general context of what people normally have? Summarization and classification techniques, they are very limited to try to summarize it based on the existing text. And because of the very large range of the possible lyrics, it prevents fitting this into a domain-specific type of problem, which makes it all the more harder. Again, I appreciate if you could give me some questions or maybe suggestions. I really want to get this project to work. Unfortunately, I've not been very successful, but thank you so much for listening. Thanks for your time.